Your life experience, good or bad, is a gift when you share it with others. At Taxi Chronicles, we allow real riders with real stories to share their gift. So hopefully this episode will intrigue, enhance or inspire you. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Morning. Yes, we're back with another rider, another episode. Today we're honoured to have a skydiver in the house. He's also an IT guy. He deals with the cloud, so everything to do with the sky in that respect. But nice to have you here, Rory.
Thank you. Pleasure
So
to
tell
be
us,
here.
where does your love of skydiving come from?
You know, I guess it started at a university. You know, you've got the freshers' fairs, all the societies and stuff, and everyone's telling you to sign up for their society. And I saw this skydiving one. I put my name down, thought, oh, I'll never really go to it. But I went along to the welcome talk. They told me all about the process. And when I went along, I did the training and I did my first jump. And after that, I was hooked. You know, that feeling of like floating in the sky above everything is addictive.
Okay. Was it expensive? Are you scared of heights? What was the whole experience like?
Yeah, so the course I did to learn to skydive is all about, it's called static line. So from your very first jump, you're jumping by yourself. There's no one else there with you. So it's definitely daunting in that respect. You know, in terms of cost, right? I was doing it as a university student, so I got a reasonable student discount. It worked out at about, I think, £25 per skydive.
Really? That's short.
So, you know, you start off jumping from like 4,000 feet, which is not that high up. But as you go up through the
England,
levels... Yeah, this is up in the northeast near Newcastle.
Okay, that's why it's cheap. Okay. Yeah.
But it's a solo jump, right? You're not jumping with another person, which is why it's so much cheaper.
You're on your own.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing they drill into you is do all this safety and emergency preparation, because if something messes up, it's on you and you've got to fix it.
Okay. Did anybody ever have any problems?
I mean, there's kind of two levels, right? You get what's called a nuisance factor, which is something that is just a bit frustrating, or you can have a malfunction, and a malfunction is something's gone seriously bad and you basically need to ditch your parachute and use your reserve one. Now, I've never had a malfunction, but I know plenty of people who have had malfunctions, and usually it's a case of like the training kicks in and you just do your emergency procedures, cut away and go straight to your reserve parachute and you're fine. I've had a few nuisance factors, like I always get twisted lines, which are really annoying, and you've got to reach up and like untangle them. But it's generally a pretty safe sport as long as you do the safety training, I would say.
How many jumps have you done?
28.
Okay.
So I know guys who've done literally tens of thousands of jumps. It's like their entire career is jump so many jumps every day. I'm kind of in awe of them, because skydiving is so weather dependent, right? Like if it's not a sunny, still day, like if there's so much as a breeze or clouds, it gets a lot more difficult. And this being the UK, perfect weather is hard to come by.
They have a skydiving place where I used to live in Kenya.
Oh
on
yeah.
the coast. So as you skydive, you land on the beach, because the beach is very vast, but you overlook the Indian Ocean and all the palm trees and out into the land.
That sounds spectacular.
Yeah, so that was I've never done it. I was meant to do it when I was in the military, but heights wasn't my thing, so I kind of dodged that detail. I kind of regret it in some ways.
I mean, I still hate going up in the plane. Like, because the plane is like this really small, almost like a tin can, right? It's not kept to the same, safety standards as commercial airlines, because at the end of the day, you're going to jump out of it and you've got a parachute. Which means when you go up, it's cramped, it's loud, you can't hear properly. If you're going all the way to 15,000 feet, you can actually feel the air getting a bit thinner up there. And the noises makes it it's such an intense experience going up in the plane. That's the one bit I still don't enjoy. And I wouldn't say I'm afraid of heights, but being in that little tin can, even though you know you're going to jump out of it, it's kind of an irrational fear.
But even if there was a problem, you're all going to jump anyway.
Exactly. And
even
again,
the pilot's got a shit.
So they teach you the emergency procedures, right? If something's wrong with the plane, you know what the process is. You basically all go out one after the other, get out the plane pretty quickly.
Go.
That's
like
exactly
Paris.
it. Yeah, like go,
Green
right?
Light, go. Bum, bum,
That's
bum.
how it is, right? They've got a little red and a green light by the exit, and as soon as the pilot turns the light green, safe for you to jump.
Is there any reason? What would you say to someone who's considering doing the jumps?
I mean, you should absolutely go for it, right? Even if you just do it once, it's such a amazing experience. And it's so liberating. If you're kind of nervous, go for a tandem jump, so where you're strapped to an instructor who's kind of doing the whole thing for you. But if you're feeling a bit brave or independent, go for like static line or AFF, accelerated freefall, and just get straight in there and jump by yourself.
It's accelerated freefall. Is that like the movies, like a James Bond thing when he's falling and he's just going really fast?
It would be awesome if it's something like that. And you do feel kind of amazing, right, when you're falling through the sky, because the views you've got are spectacular, and you really feel like you're floating rather than falling, I would say.
Do you get that stomach feeling that you have at the fun fair where your stomach goes into your chest?
Every time.
I hate that feeling. I don't think I can do this. I don't want to sound like a whip.
But it's only the first few seconds, right? Like I say, once you've hit terminal velocity, which is somewhere around 120 miles an hour, you feel like you're floating, so you don't get the stomach feeling. The feeling comes from you accelerating as you fall out of the plane.
So once you pull your chute...
Oh, when you pull your chute, it's totally different, because at that point you're getting yanked. Like, your speed drops so quickly, you really feel it. Like,
okay, so you've got 3 stages there you've just mentioned.
Yeah.
You've got the point where you first jump.
Yeah.
What's that called?
I guess the jump.
Just the jump.
Yeah.
But you'll talk about such and such velocity.
And then, so you jump out, right, and you get up to speed, and then you're in free fall, where you're at terminal velocity, which is the fastest you're ever going to fall. It's usually about 120 miles an hour for most skydivers.
Okay.
And then once you're ready, you pull your handle and open your parachute or your canopy, and then basically fly the rest of the way down.
I understand there's weight restrictions.
There can be weight restrictions. I think skydiving is quite heavily regulated, particularly in the UK. It can get to a point where if you're over some certain weight, you can still do it if you sign basically additional paperwork that says, I acknowledge the increased risk to me.
I'm a bit of a fat bastard.
Something like that, yeah.
Okay. Would you take it up as a profession, or just keep it as a hobby?
That's a good question, you know. I mean, I always really enjoy skydiving. I love doing it. I think it depends greatly on where in the world you live and what you want to do with your time, because what I found when I do my regular skydiving is there's a lot of waiting around, waiting for your turn to go up on the plane, or waiting for the weather to improve, right? Like sometimes you'd go down to the drop zone and you'd spend an entire day sitting there hoping the wind drops a bit or the clouds clear a bit, and they don't, and then you've lost a day.
Okay. Thanks a lot. So if people want to start skydiving, where can they go?
I mean, there's a number of skydiving centres in the UK. Just Google like where to skydive. The place I used to jump at was called Peterlee Skydiving Club, something like that. So Peterlee is a little town up near Durham, near Newcastle in the northeast. There's plenty of places all over the UK, really. So if you just Google like skydiving centres, you'll definitely find one. And if you're nervous, a tandem jump is the way to start. So that's where you're strapped to someone else, and they'll do all the heavy lifting for you.
Okay then. Well, thanks a lot for that, and we wish you well.
Thank you for hosting me.
We hope you liked that Taxi Chronicles interview. Don't forget to share and subscribe to get the latest episode. Ever considered investing in the continent with the fastest growing economies and population on Earth? The same continent that holds 30% of the world's known natural resources. Listen to our sister podcast, Africa Investor Stories, where you hear real investors with real stories from around the world share their experience of investing in Africa. We post Monday and Thursday at 10 a.m. British Standard Time.